Welcome back, everybody. Chef David here with NuWave Ovens. Today we're cooking in our NuWave Pro, and I'm going to do a really nice winter dessert. Going to make us a banana walnut bread pudding. Now, you see quite a few ingredients in front of you, so it looks complex, but trust me, it isn't. Okay? What I use, now the bread is kind of optional. I don't really become a stickler for the bread, but I do happen to like an egg yolk or an egg-based bread. This one happens to be a challah bread. And usually when I'm making a bread pudding, I'm almost always making it from leftover bread. Or as a matter of fact, I'll save leftover bread and freeze it. When I know I have enough, then I'll make a bread pudding for my son. Big cubes on the bread because you're going to absorb a lot of liquid. All right, it's almost very similar to making your stuffing at Thanksgiving. All right, so let's pack this into this bowl, and I have another bowl for mixing. All right, we'll put this on the side here. Now, very simple, guys. This is basically wet ingredients to my dry ingredients, okay? So we've got some eggs, all right? And I need my compost bucket I always have. All right, I'm gonna stir up my eggs. No shells. And eggs are great for the compost. You know, guys, when you see my videos on vegetables and things, I'm always telling you to compost the scraps. Eggshells are wonderful addition to your compost. Going to add calcium to your soil, and that's a good thing. Break the eggs up. We don't need a whisk on this. We're not trying to get air into them, and that's basically what a whisk does. When you whisk eggs, you're adding air, and we don't really need to add the volume. I just want incorporation at this stage. At this stage now we have a variety of some dry spices, brown sugar, and I've got a couple of different wet things here. Now, you can make this recipe simply with milk and heavy cream. You can make it just with some heavy cream if you want it, and the eggs. What I have here is some coconut milk and some condensed milk to add a little extra exoticness and some sweetness, okay? So we go ahead, we add our coconut milk. Now, sometimes you open up a can of coconut milk, it's actually solid. Just go ahead and break it up with a spoon or a fork, and it will return back to the liquid state, okay? Now, coconut milk is going to taste like coconut, but this is unsweetened. So this is not going to add too much cloriness to it. But on the other hand, my condensed milk is, of course, sweetened. Very sweet. Matter of fact, it's so sweet, it actually has viscosity from the sugar. So that's why my brown sugar in this recipe, carefully measured out. Now this is, you're going to look at this, you're going to think this has a different consistency than a lot of the liquids that you may see for bread pudding, and it does. And the reason is the coconut milk and the evaporated milk or the condensed milk, very thick, okay? And that's what's going to bring it back right there. Good old-fashioned cream. Now it looks like a lot of liquid, I know that. But when you consider the fact this is going to have to absorb all the bread and the walnuts and the banana puree, then you're going to understand. Now, got some vanilla. Again, that's flavor. I've got my spice mix that you'll see on the recipe. Okay, you can mix those all together if you want, or you can keep them separate like I did. All right, so this is the easy part, guys. So now to this, the sugar. Now what you can do is, depending on your tolerance for sweetness, go ahead and add half the brown sugar. I'll show you why. Let's give it a good stir. Remember, adding brown sugar, we're not going to really know its exact sweetness until that sugar gets hot and melts. So what I like to do, because of the condensed milk and the coconut and the cream, there's even a little sweetness to cream. Take it out. Let's give it a little. It's not too sweet. So now I can go ahead and add the rest of my brown sugar. Nothing wrong with having a bread pudding, which again, basically is just a stuffing, savory. You could actually make a beautiful stuffing of this challah bread for Thanksgiving. I've had it with smoked sausage, I've had it with oysters in different parts of the country. Walnuts, I put half in here, and I'm gonna sprinkle a couple on top, just for garnish. And then my bananas. I got some ripe ones, you know, where the skin is turning brown. And basically I just peeled them, put them in a bowl, and just beat them up. Now to this, I'm going to start adding my bread. When we come back, we're going to put it into our silicone baking pan. We're going to put it into our Pro. We're gonna bake it at 30 minutes, power level high, and then we're gonna lower it down to power level 8 for another 30 minutes. We're gonna have some wonderful bread pudding as soon as we come back. Welcome back, everybody. Chef David here for NuWave Ovens. Gonna finish our banana walnut bread pudding. As you can see, I started incorporating the bread into the liquids that we just prepared. So we're gonna finish that off. I've got a little over a pound of bread here. Now you may say you want it a little drier. If you want it drier, you're gonna add more bread. Some people may think that this particular recipe for bread pudding is wet. It's okay, it's your recipe, I'm just getting you started. You can do this with your hands. I let my son do that, that's why I'm laughing. I make him wash his hands and I let him mix the bread pudding. I do mine with a spoon. And I kind of push it around a little bit because what I'm looking to do is get those chunks of bread to start squeezing like a sponge and pulling in the moisture, okay? So very simple, right? The walnuts are in, the bananas are in, vanilla, my spices, my different liquids, the coconut, the condensed milk, the cream, the eggs. All right, we end up with something like this. All right, I've got my silicone pan, which is non-stick, but I give it a spray anyway. Just makes my life a little easier later. And all I'm gonna do is begin to fill the pan. And then we're gonna go inside the NuWave, and we're gonna do this, again, for 30 minutes, power level high. And then 30 minutes on low. On power level 8, sorry, not low. See, so if you look at this, it's really not wet. It actually, with those eggs, when those eggs begin to bind, it's actually gonna souffle up a little bit. And by that, I mean the eggs, just by their nature, when you bake an egg, begins to expand, all right? So I always get nervous because I think this always looks a little sloppy, and then I bake it, and then it's okay. Now listen, at this stage, if you have a little extra liquid left in your pan, if your bread didn't absorb all the liquid, maybe the bread wasn't very dry, so I've got about a half a cup of liquid in here. I'm gonna hold it back. Okay, there's nothing wrong with adjusting the recipe as we go along. Okay, I'll take off my top. And this goes in on the 1-inch rack, okay? Put the power top dome back on. And we're gonna cook time 30 minutes. So that's on power level high. When this goes off, I'm gonna come back, we're gonna do another 30 minutes on power level 8. Let it cool off and cut it and have a wonderful banana walnut bread pudding. Welcome back, everybody. Chef Dave here at NuWave Pro. We're gonna finish cooking off our banana walnut bread pudding, okay? And what I have here is 30 minutes already on power level high. Now I want to do an additional 30 minutes, power level 8. Very simple, power level, 8, cook time, 30 minutes, start. When we come back, we're gonna make some homemade whipped cream and we're gonna plate up banana walnut bread pudding. Welcome back, everybody. Chef David here with the NuWave Pro, and we're gonna finish off our banana walnut bread pudding. So here's what I like to do. I use my holder here for my dome and my power head, which I love. Now you can do two things. Of course, we can use this because it's cool to serve it on. We can let it cool right here. I could take this out, my towel, put it in the refrigerator or leave it on the counter to cool. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna leave it right here and I'm gonna plate it up. I've got a garnish of chopped walnuts. I made some beautiful homemade whipped cream. I really did make that with the whisk. Basically what I'm gonna do is I like to serve my bread pudding when it's hot. Some people like it warm. That's fine, that's up to you guys, okay? We didn't stick here. We got a nice little mold right here on the side. This guy came out wonderful. Let me show you what we're gonna do with our walnuts all around. You can do powdered sugar on this if you'd like. If you'd like to do cocoa, you could do cocoa. Either way is fine with me. And I just like to kind of roll a little egg of whipped cream and I go right on the top so that starts to melt. That's my banana walnut bread pudding. Enjoy it. Try the recipe, send us an email, let me know what you guys think.